So let me just give you my thoughts on the presidential candidates. I've never been like a huge Trump supporter. Okay, yeah, I don't like repost any of his tweets or anything like that. Anybody that's purely trying to promote the president, I don't do. I post articles sometimes if I feel like they're thoughtful and bring out some information. Maybe sometimes those are favorable to the president, maybe not. It just depends, right? But yeah, I don't like. I'm not a big fan of propaganda, and so when people try to push propaganda, I'm usually like, okay, I'd much rather not. So there's plenty of criticisms about the president. I have quite a few myself. So one of the things that people are very willing to admit, and one of the very first things that they say is that like Donald Trump runs his mouth way too much. He says a lot of really dumb things. Sometimes he says good things. Sometimes, sometimes he says good things in the dumbest way possible, and sometimes he says things that are just bad. Like I will like there's no two ways about it. Like it's unbecoming of a president. And but he gets attacked by the media and the Democrats, which is a redundancy, um, over and over again, no matter what it is, whether it's good, bad, ugly, like it doesn't matter. He's going to get attacked for it every time. Um, which I think is one of the part of the problems. I don't think anybody's treated the president super fairly, and if they had, I think the right wing would be a little less. Frankly, they'd be a little less likely to support him because it's just the utter insanity of everything coming from the left side. It's been a nonstop barrage of just negative behavior, negative coverage, basically. And some of it, again, some of it is negative. Don't get me wrong. Not everything about the president is good. A lot of it's really bad. So there's that. But there's plenty of things that have been really good. The economy has been way better than expected. Barack Obama claimed that we weren't going to get growth rates like we were going to. He's like, oh, we're not going to see growth rate. And then Donald Trump comes in and then we get them. So, there's that. But yeah, not only that, but hey, a lot less drone strikes going on, a lot less military engagement around the world. We used to think that was a good thing at one point. I think it is a good thing. We're seeing peace agreements in the Middle East, which we'll see how they pan out. We don't know. Everybody thought the Yasser Arafat deal with the Clinton administration was going to pan out. It didn't. So that could be the case with Trump as well. He's taken a hard stance against some of our enemies, and that's good. His dealings with China, I feel like, have been really good. China is not our friend. They are, at the very least, a competitor, but they have also taken a lot of steps to subvert our technology, to subvert our government. They've stolen a tremendous amount of intellectual property around the world. So yeah, bad actors, and I think Trump was right to take a harder stance with them. Um, so yeah, there have been it's been a mixed bag, I would say. It's been some good and some bad. Sadly, the good never gets covered, and the bad gets extrapolated times a million. Um, but yeah, so to me, while I'm not like the biggest Trump supporter per se, um, compared to Joe Biden, it seemed like a very clear cut decision to me. Like Biden's he's terrible, man. He's in onset. He's at the beginning stages of dementia. Everybody can see it. Everybody's talking about it. Like we're just supposed to pretend like that doesn't exist. Like we're gonna have the leader of the free world with dementia. He's only gonna get worse as time goes on. This is who we're gonna have talk to China and Russia and Iran and um. Okay. So there's that. On top of the fact that his policies are just, oh man, they're terrible. I might do videos all day just talking about the disagreements I have with the Biden policies, because man, it's concerning to say the least. But so anyway, I'm certainly not a Biden supporter. Would I call myself a Trump supporter? No, I wouldn't really call myself that. Do I think that Trump is a better candidate than Biden? By a long shot. Is Trump my ideal candidate? Not by a long shot. Okay, so that's kind of like that should give you an idea of kind of where I am on this whole situation. So that being the case, like this is kind of how I see it. Like, if you take like a guy like Gordon Ramsay, who is, especially if you go back to like the Hell's Kitchen days, like he was a total jerk to everybody that worked for him. he'd belittle them, he'd berate them, he'd yell at them, he'd just be a total like a terrible person in general, right? Versus like say your local short order cook who works at your local diner who might be just like the nicest guy ever, and like has anything bad to say about him. Let's say you took those two chefs. Which one do you think you would have to say cater your wedding? And the answer is, well, you're probably going to go with Chef Gordon Ramsay, right? Because why? He's a good cook. He's very good at what he does, and what you need him to do for you. Like you're not voting him to for Gordon Ramsay to be your pastor or your dad or like very super involved in your life. You're saying, okay, there's a job. I need someone who's best to do the job, and this person is clearly better at it, so we're going to give it to them. I kind of view it the same way with the presidency. Um, like obviously the president has some moral failures in his life, to say the least. Okay, that seems very clear. Um, but again, I'm not voting for the president to become my pastor or to give me any sort of leadership advice or personal advice or anything. I just want someone who's going to run the country and the military as best as possible. And to me, I mean, it just seems like it's not even close. But so apparently, other people have a difference of opinion, obviously. And I've seen a lot of people on Facebook that have said that they were very happy that Trump got, that Biden basically got the votes to get in. He's probably going to be the next president. A lot of people I've been seeing a lot of people who are very happy about that. Um, which I was like, okay, well, that's interesting. So I put out a post that said, hey, if you voted for Biden, please, I would like to know what policies that he is going to implement or what policies Trump has implemented you really don't like. If you're really happy about this, there should be a reason for why you're really happy about this. And I'd like to know why that is. Now, sadly, nobody got back to me. I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. But I ended up having to reach out to people more directly. And I did get some feedback. And I wanted to kind of go over some of that real quick because I think like we have to be thinking correctly, okay? There's a lot of disunity in America, obviously. Really bad. It's probably the worst it's ever been, maybe since the Civil War. And disunity is one thing, but if it's disunity because we're not thinking through things correctly, well, that's a problem. That's something that can be corrected. Like if people just have difference of opinion, maybe in worldviews and things like that. Like for example, I'm a Christian. There are some things that me and a Muslim, for example, are probably never going to agree on. Okay, just because we have, different worldviews essentially. But that being the case, like the other things, like there should be some things that we do agree on though, just because we should be thinking through things at least properly, right? And if we're thinking through things correctly, we should come to the same conclusion on certain subjects for sure. And so anyway, so that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to kind of go through some of these things that people brought up as objections, and I wanted to talk about them a little bit and just kind of give my stance on these things. Starting with, people saying, "Oh, the president has destructive and immoral behaviors." Totally get it. Totally understand that. Immoral behaviors, absolutely. I can understand why that's a bad thing. I'm always a little. I'm always a little skeptical, though, of the indignation, particularly when this comes from people on the left who treated like guys like Bill Clinton, for example, as a rock star for a number of years. Like it wasn't like, he went through that scandal, all that immoral behavior, and then we just kind of like forgot about him. No. He's been touted around for decades now as like this legend of the Democrat Party, despite some serious moral failings, to say the least, plus all kinds of scandals, let's just say. And nobody seemed to care. So listen, I understand if you're going to say that, Trump is an immoral person and therefore shouldn't be president. Yeah, fair enough. I get that point. But if you're not going to say the same thing about other guys like Bill Clinton, for example, I mean, I'm not sure how seriously I should take your moral indignation on that subject, right? I mean, that kind of makes sense. So anyway, I'm with you there for the most part. Obviously, I would much prefer a more upright person in their personal lives and things like that. So agreed. So there's that. I think we're most in agreement on that one.